So in this video, we're going to talk about doing a scatter plot, how to do a scatter plot, and then how to place a regression line that best fits through the scatter plot. So in order to do a scatter plot, of course, the first thing you have to have is your ordered pairs listed, put into your lists. And I've already entered mine, so if you're not sure on how to enter data into lists, you can look at the video that refers to lists. But let's just look under the Stats button and under Edit. And you can see here that I have listed several pieces of data in ordered pairs. The X in list 1, the X values in list 1, and the Y values in list 2. So I have several pieces of data already put into the calculator. The first thing we need to do is to turn on the scatter plot. So to do that, it's a second function, y equals, which is a stat plot. And we've already got one stat plot turned on. We're going to go into that first stat plot. It's turned on, and we're going to select the type of graph that we want, which is a scatter plot, which is the first choice. Right here, we're just going to select that one. And then we need to move down to the X list and the Y list, and we need to tell it which list we have our data in. And as we just looked at, our X list we had in list 1. So we're going to do a second function 1, which gets us to L1. And then we're going to move down to the second Y list, and that was in list 2. So we're going to do a second function 2, which was L2. And then the last thing that we do is we can choose what kind of a mark we'd like to have our scatter plot use. So I think I'm just for fun going to use the plus. So I'm going to move over here and use a plus. Now at this point we could actually hit graph, but we might not see much of anything on our graph because we haven't set our window. So again, to see a graph of a stat plot and get it to come into the window, we can do a zoom, and we can choose number 9, which is, as we move down here, is called Zoom Stat. So it's a number 9. So we can either type a 9 or move down to 9 and press enter. And what that's going to do is just kind of throw all of the data pieces up in the window, showing what kind of a scatter plot that we have. So from there, we want to place our regression line over the top of this. And in order to do that, the first thing we have to do is we have to actually have the calculator do a regression line. So that again is found under Stat. And we're going to move over to Calculate. And in this area, you've got two choices for a linear regression. You either have a number 4, which comes out in kind of the y equals mx plus b form that we know from algebra. And then if we move down a little bit further in the list, down here on number about 8 or 9, it's 8. There's another linear regression, which puts the equation out in y equals a plus bx, and that's more of the form that your book uses in your statistics classes. So we're going to select number 8. We're just going to type an 8 in. And that gets us to this screen where we're going to actually tell the calculator where we put our X values in, which list. And again, that was in L1. So we're going to tell it L1. We're going to move down to the Y list, and we're going to tell that to put in list 2 in that. The frequency we don't need to mess with. That's not going to affect anything. But where we would like to store our regression equation, we'd like to put this equation in our y equals right here, so it can actually graph the line on top of our scatter plot. So the way we do that is we select the vars button. We actually move over to y variables. This is stands for y variables. And the y equals is a place where we graph functions. So we're going to choose number 1. And we're going to actually tell it to store it in y sub 1. So this is going to actually put the line in the y equals button, the actual equation. Now we're going to actually calculate the equation. There's the equation. It's in the form y equals a plus bx, where a is about 0.919, and B, which is the slope of the line, is about 2.0647. And so if we look in the y equals right now, it's actually pasted that actual equation into the first y sub 1 line. And if we hit graph now, it's going to actually put that line running through our scatter plot, which is our best fitting line through all of the data.